Welcome to In Her Lane. I'm Monica.
I'm Hannah.
And today we're here with Christy Sutherlin. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
You've been busy?
Yes.
You're doing the single mom life right now?
This particular week only because my husband's riding a bicycle across America with his friends.
No big deal.
Where does he start off at?
They go on a little bit of a segment each year. So this year they started in Colorado Springs and then they'll end up in Missouri somewhere.
They ride all that way?
Yeah.
And then they just do like stops along the way?
Yes. Right, this year they're averaging somewhere between 120 and 140 miles a day, and then they stop and then they pick up and they go the next leg, and then next year they'll start from wherever they finished and they'll go another,
And it's
couple hundred
bicycles?
miles. Bicycles, yeah, road bikes.
Do you ride road bikes like the bicycles too?
I prefer mountain bikes.
Mountain biking?
Yes.
Does he mountain bike too?
He does, but not the time of year when snakes are out. My husband's definitely afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
Aren't we
too.
all?
Me too. Well, we wanted to, find out about you. You're a pretty big girl boss in the industry. And so, yes, you are.
Okay.
You've done a bunch of amazing things, and we want to share it with everybody. So first, tell us, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in California?
I did. I grew up in California, Northern California, a small town most people have never heard of. It's about 1,000 people. It's called Mount Ockham. The closest town people might have heard of is Placerville, which is right below Tahoe, and so that's kind of the area where it was. But my high school was 45 minutes from where I lived in a car. It was 2 hours in a bus, so it was quite a small town.
So do you know how much the population is like nowadays?
So randomly a couple months ago, I was looking it up just to see. I'm like, has it gotten any bigger? I don't go back often enough,
Right.
and it says it's roughly 800 now. So I guess it's gone down a little bit, but it was mainly a lot of retired people. So it's probably just they're, falling off and their kids are selling their houses and not really populating the area. There's just not a lot around there.
Yeah.
And your parents still up there?
They're in the area, but not that same town now.
I would have
Like
never guessed
20
that you were
minutes from
from, I just would assume that you were from SoCal.
The good news is there's lots of riding when you live out in the country like that. So.
Did you ride when you were growing up?
Yep. My dad built a motocross track on our property, so we had a track, and then there was just so much open land around us. We had dirt bikes and ATVs, and we just rode kind of everywhere. And nobody really cared because there was no police to
tell you
monitor
stop.
it or say anything.
I think that's great. I
do
wish
too.
that there was more places like that out here because it keeps kids busy, it's fun, they stay out of trouble, and they're active and not behind screens. And
Yeah, I mean, it led to a really outdoor, active lifestyle for myself, and that's what I aim to do for my kids now. So it was a great place to grow up. It would be really hard to live now, when you get used to the
Right.
Targets down the street.
The convenience.
The convenience of the mall or whatever it might be that you need. That's not close in a town like that.
Well, what brought you down this way?
KTM is the reason that I originally moved to this area, but I went to college in a different city in Northern California to start, and I worked at a parts and accessory shop there. That's kind of how I got started in the industry. And then I applied for the KTM job, and I had never heard of Temecula before. It just happened to be where they were going to be moving and be located. So I looked it up and then found the college that was closest to Temecula to transfer to, and finished my degree there. But I came to this area because of KTM initially.
So you always loved motorsports, like dirt bikes and
Yes.
all the things.
So you rode?
I did ride. So my parents had me really young. They were 20 when they had me, and my dad really wanted to be a professional racer still because he was young. So he was in, at the time it was what was called the expert class, which was right before you turned pro. Now they would just say the A class. And he was riding locally in that class and, against, Talon Volan and Tyson Voland and all of them back then, who then very quickly went pro. But my dad didn't make it to that level, but he was still pretty fast. So my whole childhood, he just continued to race recreationally. And so I got to be a part of that. I would hold the pit board. I would, do the flagging on the track. I would do the scoring back when it was hand scoring before electronic scoring. And so that was my way of being involved and kind of falling in love with it. And then the job that I was talking about in college, I worked in restaurants in high school and just hated it. It's like, I need to do something that I loved. So when I went to college, I just walked in, like cold walked in and was like, can I work at this shop? And they're like, well, not many openings right now, but let us grab your name. And then it turns out somebody there ended up transferring to a different school. And so there was an opening and he called me back and he said, you can work in the new shop a couple days a week. And then they had a salvage yard, which is like where you go to, buy salvaged parts like from wrecked motorcycles and stuff. And he goes, we have a couple days over there too, if you want to work there. And so I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And I'm so grateful for the salvage yard job now. At the time, I didn't really know what to expect, but I didn't know anything about parts of motorcycles or how they went together or what to sell you. If you came in and asked for a piston, what else you would need to like accompany the piston to make sure your bike would run. But at a salvage yard, you figure that out really quick and you figure it out for a lot of models and makes of bikes. And every step in my career, I have needed that knowledge of the parts and how the bike flows. I could write you an exploded view of almost any motorcycle and how the pieces go together.
I'm really impressed. I had no idea.
Yeah. And I mean, even in my job currently, there's tariffs that just got put on steel and aluminum, the actual percentage of the steel aluminum in the part that you have. And so now we're back into the, weeds with what's going into these parts and how can we help our members understand what they need to declare at the border. And it's back to that, when I was a 17-year-old job of understanding
no job is
the
too
ins and outs
small,
of it.
Yeah. Like it's really cool that that little job at a salvage yard has brought you to where you are now.
It's
so
like
cool.
the foundation of
Yeah.
your future in motorsports.
Yeah.
It set the way for you, and you're able to utilize that knowledge into what you do now. So I think that's
super cool.
so. You come down here, you work for KTM, and what was your role at KTM?
So originally it was the KTM Junior Amateur and like KTM Challenge Coordinator job, which meant I sold parts at the amateur races. I helped out the sponsored athletes that they had at the time, which the original program, it's like anybody who was getting even a 5% discount was on a program. And so I had a name list of like nearly 1,000 people that somehow could come up to the truck at an amateur national and get a deal. And then it quickly dwindled down to a more manageable program. But when I started, that's how it was. And then the KTM Junior Supercross Challenge, which is the intermission show of Supercross, which is still ongoing, kind of taking the names and doing the selection of the kids for that, and then organizing that whole program at the actual Supercross races. So
Which is an awesome event that is put on at select races. I mean, I don't think there's any other sport that allows youth to actually live and perform like they're
It's so fun.
yeah, like they're the professional
in the
athlete.
under the lights.
And it's not like you just get to come. It's the whole day and the gear.
It's an experience.
Oh, it is just the coolest.
Yeah, and what's great is you see fans of like all different types take the pictures of the kids, right? You could see like an older gentleman going, that's so cute, and getting his camera out, and then a younger audience going, oh my gosh, they weren't expecting the kids. And so I just love to see what it brings out in the fans too. When they see that, they cheer super loud for the kids. So I love to see that program is still continuing today.
Oh yeah.
My cousin had raced it before I ever even started working in it. So I had an experience as a family that had gone through it too before I even worked in it. So I knew like the impact it had on the family. And that's what's been incredible with that is they continue to have that impact on so many families, and that just keeps them in the sport for longer.
And they get to meet, their superheroes, which are the riders.
Well, and it's been around for so long that some of the riders that have raced it, well, actually a lot of the riders that raced it when they were little have now won championships, and it's just so fun to watch like the progression of.
And now the racers too have their kids.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the racers
A lot of
going
them.
through it.
Yeah.
And that's like useless.
And their dad and the ex-racer is now their like little mechanic on the line at the track.
I have
It's so
this like
cute.
useless list in my head of probably all like 50 of the pro riders that have gone through it. That means nothing to anybody else, but I had to memorize it for so many years of my life that every time they're
50.
like, oh, Ryan Dungey and Zach Osborne went through the program, and I'm like, and in my head I'm like listing all the other
I
ones.
didn't
but-
know that there
Zach
was so
Osborne
many.
won, right?
Yeah, and
had
Zach
no idea.
Osborne actually raced it twice, which isn't allowed anymore. But back in the early '90s, they didn't have enough kids when it was first coming, so he wasn't the only one. There was multiple kids at the time that got to race it a couple times back when it was first kicking off. and there's not a lot of strong records of all of the names, but it's, you know, it's that same age and era.
I feel like
the
there's
Dungies
pictures
and
and
the Leslies.
videos of Zach winning.
Yeah.
I feel like they came back out when he won his championship for Husky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can we also touch on how fair that they make KJSC, like when they pick the kids?
I was going to ask that for people who
Because
don't know the process.
People ask us all the time, like, hey, can you put our name in or whatever? I applied, like, and I'm always just like, I would love to help you, but it's really like the fairest thing in the world. So I guess when you were at KTM, how did they do it?
So we actually put all the names in a hat.
Okay, they still do that.
We would cut all the names up, fold them, and put them in a hat, and then walk around the office to the different departments and let them pick the riders.
Yep.
And it was pretty fun because people would remember the rider's name for that weekend, and then they would like challenge each other, like, "Oh, did my random pick
Or
do
bet.
better
My
than
guy
yours?"
do, yeah.
Or bet money. Yeah.
We're kidding. There's no betting anymore.
We used to do like a couple of bucks, like, okay, we'll take all the odd, you take all the evens, and or 1 through 5, and it's fun.
It is
Yeah.
fun.
So they do, certainly try to make it as fair as they can, and I have heard that they still, try to do the name out of the hat way.
Yeah, they do.
They do. They even come around to the motorsports building and pick names out.
Yeah, I think that's fun and neat. And
I do too.
like I said, I hope that the program continues for a long time because it's a great little opportunity.
I remember when my brother first started racing, and I would see like. I'm not sure if were you there when the Stacys were there?
Yes.
Okay, I remember seeing you all and being like, I'm so jealous. Like, that seems like such a fun job. Like, how do I do that? But I was too in college and didn't have time at the time. But I was like, that would be so fun to be with all the families every weekend.
And then from the junior challenge, you went into the Orange Brigade. Or was it all connected?
It's slightly connected. So when the Great Financial Crisis happened, they went away with the KTM Junior Supercross program and amateur racing for a couple of years and just went back to traditional marketing. And then when they were ready to revamp it, they, were looking around who has experience in this. And I was one of the people left that did. So they said, can you grab this program back and, kind of remake it? And so on the KTM Challenge side, we did that. Brought it back. And then on the amateur racing side, Michael Sleater was there at the time. And it was, I don't know if it was him exactly or a friend of his he had, but somebody like deemed Orange Brigade the name.
I think it was Sleater.
And okay. And I know it came from him. But so he was managing that program for a while, and then he went full time into R&D testing. And that's the point where I came in a little bit more, and they were, said, you got to coach these riders, you got to bring them up. And I was like, I shouldn't coach the riders. I can manage a team, but let's bring on a coach, because Sleater and I worked really well together where he had that expertise, and so he could pass that on to the riders, and I could handle administratively all of the rest of the task. And so that's where insert your husband coming in, and he helped provide that resource to the kids.
You pulled him back in the industry.
Yes.
Look at him now.
I know. Yeah. So. How long did you guys work together when Nathan came aboard? When did you end up leaving? Did you guys?
I don't know.
You guys worked together for a few years, right?
Yeah, I'd say probably at least like 5 years. It feels like, but I don't actually remember the exact year that he started. But I left in 2017.
Okay, I'd fail
Okay,
that question
like,
too. I have no idea. But the one thing that he always brought up was the fact how you signed him up for Loretta Lynn's. Tell me about that, how that all came about and him having to race Loretta's.
Yes. So at the time, Nathan was doing a couple different things, and that's why he was still a contractor. So I had the ability to do a contract instead of him being an employee and just coming on in the normal fold. So I had been talking to him about, like, you're still going to the gym, you're still doing all this stuff. Like, why don't you just race? And he's like, because if I race, I have to like really train, and I have to really
the mentality.
Do the things. Yeah, I can't just like, half-ass it and go in there. And so I was like, well, I think, we should do a little competition about the Loretta's thing. And we also did the same thing with Buddy Antonez that particular year. And so the deal with Buddy was if I beat him in a triathlon, then he had to do Loretta's. And then if Buddy was going to do it, then Nate had to do it, and so on. And so I beat Buddy.
Let's get that on record.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. Good for you, girl.
By like just a
Sorry,
few
bud,
seconds,
man.
though. He really did, like, because when they both realized they had to do this, they both, like, they dropped tons of weight.
I know.
Nate was the most pissed because he had just like
Bulked
bulked
up.
up, you know, for the first time in his life, and then he had to like lean out. But
It's because of the
he and
cardio
Buddy-
that they have to put
Yeah.
in to maintain that
Yeah,
level.
he and Buddy both, I mean, they got in shape super quick. I mean, it just shows what an athlete knows how to do, right? It's like, okay, this is what I got to do. And then they just cut and they did it and they raced and it was super fun. They both did really well. I know there's a couple like racing incidents out there that they like to talk about, but it was impressive.
So
did
they
great.
actually raced Loretta's.
Yes. And the person that they lost to was Mike Brown. So,
Well,
I mean,
that doesn't count.
So technically Nathan won.
That's a
He
mulligan.
He
Yeah.
got second to Mike Brown,
Yeah.
so he
and
technically
Mike Brown
won.
never stopped racing.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's funny. So the thing with Buddy and Nathan too, what's a funny story is when they both were coaching, because he was contracted with you, so he would also, you know, help coach other amateurs or pros. Nathan, you know, had coached pros, and so they would have a bet between each other. If Nathan's rider beat his or his finished, they would have to like.
How fun.
They made bracelets. Did you know about the bracelets?
No.
And it was like, gosh, I don't know the name of the bracelets. Maybe like Nathan had one that said Budman is the best, or I don't know.
Okay,
They always had competitions all the time. I have a picture of Nathan when he moved out to California and he was on pro circuit. And if Nathan didn't finish in the top 3, he'd have to let Buddy dress him to the gym that next week. And Nathan, I have a picture of him wearing a half top, tight lime green, biker shorts,
I love it.
a tutu, and he walked around like a gym, like that.
Keeps you motivated.
Yeah.
So those two together.
How
Yeah,
fun.
they were really fun to work with, and probably the best thing collectively that we were all part of was the U.S. Motorcycle Coaching Association. So that came out of a high school motocross project that we were working on, where we got pretty far with getting high school motocross into a couple high schools in California, and we were getting ready to kind of petition for it to be a varsity sport. And they said, great, how do you certify coaches? And we went, oh shoot, our industry doesn't have a way to do that. And so we had to kind of go back and mimic other industries to find a way to do that. And that's how U.S. Motorcycle Coaching Association got started.
Are you still a part of the motorcycle coaching company?
Yes, actually it was just acquired by the Motorcycle Industry Council, which
Oh,
is where
cool.
I work now. So,
Everything's intertwined,
Yeah,
right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect spot for it, though.
yeah, and there's a great team of people that are still there working, and Nate's still an advisor to the board for that. And so it's been a great program that just helps connect riders to coaches and keep them riding safer.
And how do people get involved with that and get certified if they're listening to this right now? Like, can you give us a little?
Yeah, if you want to be a coach, you go to usmca.org, and that's how you sign up to be a coach. There's some prerequisites you have to pass, like CPR training. They also talk
Which
about,
I think is great to have that. I mean,
yes, from the medical field.
yes, as nurses, I think that is amazing that you guys make them become CPR certified.
Yes. And they have to pass a background check. There's a training course on like heat stroke and concussion management. Yeah. Heart attacks, just kind of how to like see early signs of that. And we've had a lot of positive input from coaches that have gone through the program on that piece specifically, because they've actually been able to recognize signs in advance when something's happening to their rider, and they call us and they go, I wouldn't have known had I not done that. So that's been, really impactful to hear that. And then from a rider side, we have the forward-facing website, motorcyclecoaching.org, where you can go. There's also an app. You can go there, put in your zip code, and it'll tell you the coaches that are nearest you, and you can message them, just kind of like Uber, like here's your coaches in your area, message, and then book an appointment.
I think that's great with like the background checks, because all these young kids and these parents maybe
just
don't
letting their kids go with the coach. That
or
they
don't
know
have
nothing
enough money
about.
to hire like a really, established coach, and then you've got these people that live locally saying, I'm a coach, you can pay me this, and I don't know, it's just like a peace of mind. And
Right. And every other sport has it. You can't get a coach for a different sport without knowing that somebody has gone through a background check.
Yep.
And so it's great that our sport has gotten to that point.
do you know how many coaches you have certified, like around about how
Yes,
many
I
have
do.
gone through the program?
Yeah, 442.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love stats.
Yeah, that's the active number right now.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And like I said, with that, you will save lives and prevent major injuries, long-term injuries with them. Just they're there. It takes a while for ambulance to come. I just think that's a great
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so now you were working at KTM with the Orange Brigade, and then you transitioned away from the industry. When was that, and where did you end up going?
So back in 2017 is when that happened, and I had just gotten engaged with my husband, and we were wanting to expand the family, and I didn't want to travel as much anymore. And at that exact time, I got this opportunity to go work for a software company, and it was, a huge increase to the salary, and it was a remote job before remote jobs were a thing. And I just thought, well, that sounds really good on paper. And so I left the industry and I did that, and I was immediately pretty bored. And
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I feel like motorcycles just run through your veins. Like, I just can't imagine you not in the industry.
And so it was very short-lived. It was about 6 months, but I remember going to conferences and just talking to other people in the software industry, and nobody had like a fun weekend experience to talk about. Everybody was like pretty bored and not that happy, and I thought,
stress maybe and things like that.
Yeah, and the people that owned the company were great. They were really nice people that were really passionate about software and technology, but it just wasn't for me. And around that time that, I was kind of going, okay, what do I do now? I got to get back into it. John Eric Burleson, he's the former president of KTM. He called me and he goes, I started a consulting company. I'm going to give you 2 weeks to decide if you want to be my partner in it. And if you do, great, come on board. And if not, then, I'll see you around. Maybe someday you could work for me, or, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And there was no health insurance. There was no guaranteed salary. We had to go find clients in order to get the money. And I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, I kind of really want to do this. And I was pregnant, by the way. I was about 7 weeks pregnant with my daughter.
That's a major jump.
Yes.
Life-changing decision.
Yeah. And he said, this is what's going to make you happy, so let's figure out a way to do it. And we did. And the software company actually let me stay on commission only through the rest of the year, so I could have my baby and have that health insurance.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Which was
very
great.
kind of them.
Yeah. So that helped tremendously. And then we got some clients, and we, did that life for 7 years. We actually still, our company still exists. It's just that we've both taken different roles in the last year that were going to benefit us better at this point in life. And it was the strongest learning experience I've had in my entire career, though, working with so many different companies in the industry that were at all levels of, flux of what their problem was and how they needed help in their business. So it was like this rapid learning curve. But we both go, man, that was the best thing for our careers.
For both of you guys, I feel like.
Putting more tools on your tool belt. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
You also are you on the board for the Kurt Caselli Foundation, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a board
Tell us about that.
I'm a board member on the Kurt Caselli Foundation. Have been there since the start. The mission of that organization is to protect the lives of off-road riders before, during, and after racing. So the after part really focuses on what are you going to do after racing. So they provide scholarships and other educational resources to riders. But the before and during is really about making sure people are safe, prior to a race, they know what to think about. And then during a race is all of the correct flagging to make sure there's medical vehicles that are appropriately staffed. We do a lot with lead sweep riders, those type of initiatives. And I think the most recent stat was over $1.5 million raised so far. That's all just from donations from people in our industry.
So can you tell us, in case the people listening don't know, a little bit about Kurt, and then obviously what happened and why the foundation was created?
Yes. So Kurt Caselli was a great friend of mine. He was a factory racer for KTM for over a decade, all of which those years I knew him. So I'm really fortunate for that. Multi-time champion, and he was racing the Baja 1000, and he had a racing incident, and he passed away from trauma in that accident. And it comes down to safety of the course. All the information we have, we're unsure if we could have saved his life, but it definitely could have had a stronger chance if we could have found him, and they couldn't get to him quick enough. And so that, triggered his family and those of us at KTM at the time to create a foundation where we could help make it safer and make sure that riders can get found, have certain GPS tracking devices and things like that could locate them. He had those devices, they just didn't work accurately enough, and where they were pinging him wasn't where he actually ended up. And so, we've made it the mission to just make sure that we can teach more riders how to ride safer and to make sure they have those things. Make sure your name's somewhere on you and how to contact people, in an emergency situation. So many riders go riding out by themselves with nothing. And then if something happens, nobody even knows who they are. Or how to get back to their family. So even things as simple as putting a sticker underneath the visor on your helmet that says who you are and your blood type, and
Or if you have allergies,
medication, any of
a
those
phone
things.
number, an emergency contact.
If you're diabetic,
Exactly.
things like that. I think that's great.
And so his mom is still active on the board, along with his sister and his fiance Sarah. They're all still there, helping to do this fight, along with industry members, mainly some folks from KTM that were working with him collectively at the time. And then the president of the foundation is Donnie Emler from FMF.
Yes,
and he does a great
Lil
job.
D.
Yeah.
I see on his social media a lot, him always promoting it. And
The Kurt Caselli Ride Day is so much fun.
Yes, and it's coming up in December. It's going to be at Glen Helen this year.
Oh, Glen Helen, no more Paula?
No more Paula for this year. I'm not sure if they'll rotate back and forth, but Glen Helen was available this year, and so we wanted to get back and give that a shot
Like a little
again.
more off-road style too.
Yeah, it allows a little bit more of the off-road loops, and it's a little bit more central for some people that are traveling kind of far to be here, because a lot of people do come from different states to go to this event annually because they really enjoy it.
It is really fun.
when is it?
It's in December, the first weekend of December.
And what does it consist of, the ride day? Like what, and do people just sign up online or?
Yep. You can sign up online, you can pre-buy a ticket, and then you have like a faster track line when you get in when gates open, or you can buy the ticket the day of. But it's just an open ride day, so all of the tracks will be open for people to ride, like the youth track, they have a vet track and a pro track at Glen Helen. And then they do a whole off-road trail loop too that has like lead and sweep people that go out and just check the trail too, but there's multiple miles of off-road trail at Glen Helen. So that makes it pretty fun. And then they do this team race at the end of the day where it's a pro rider and an amateur rider, and then they have to like switch boxer shorts each lap on their bikes.
Oh, how fun.
But
Yeah.
Ryan's gotten paired with like people that are just learning to ride too. Like it's so cool. And they have this huge pair of Ethicas that you have to like put over your gear, and like you have to hold each other's bikes. It's seriously so much fun.
I love that.
It's fun. And so you never know like what level the amateur rider is going to be. So sometimes
Do they just pick out of a hat? Or?
Yeah, so the amateur signs up and they pay $66 to do it, which is Kurt's number.
Yeah.
And so that money goes back to the foundation. But you could have a super beginner level person, or sometimes you have like almost pro level, but they're still amateur. And so sometimes like, the pro will get passed with paired with the fast amateur pro, and then they just like kill it out on the team race, and people are like, oh, it was rigged, but it's like, it's just the luck of the draw.
It's really
That's
fun.
so fun. I've never been. I didn't know. And then you guys do an event at Dofo Winery too. What time of year do you guys usually do that?
That one's in June.
Okay.
And the Dofo family has been super kind and generous to the Kurt Caselli Foundation all these years, donating the facility during that time. And they make special Kurt Caselli wine that people can purchase.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, a portion of the proceeds come back to the foundation for that. But it's for the folks that don't want to get as dirty. It's a different type of event to come out and stay
I'll come
clean.
to that one next year.
Yeah.
I don't like Glen Helen.
You can dress nice and
I'll come to Glen Helen.
yeah.
and enjoy wine. You
Yeah.
should make Nathan ride that ride day.
Yeah.
I don't know when he's been on a bike, honestly, the last time.
He
So
needs to get back on one.
That's the perfect day though to do it.
he'll be like, I'll sign up as the amateur.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, babe. So who are you currently with? It's the MIC, right?
Yes. So I joke and say it's like the whole alphabet because there's 4 nonprofit associations and they're all sister associations, so no parent company. But it's the Motorcycle Industry Council, which we call MIC, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, MSF, the Specialty Vehicle Institute of America, SVIA, and the Recreational Off-Highway Vehicle Association, which is ROVA. So
That is a
it's
lot.
mouthful.
I had no idea.
Yes, and I'm the president and CEO of all 4 organizations, and the Motorcycle Industry Council aims to protect, inform, and promote the motorcycle industry. So protecting, we have a huge government relations team that goes out and, you know, fights against anything that might have a negative impact to the power sports industry. And then the inform side is we have a research and statistics department that gathers all of the retail sales data and does other surveys throughout the year to really educate the industry on what's happening out there. And then the promote side is just promoting general awareness of motorcycling, trying to get new riders into our sport. Those are really the three pillars of MIC. And then the Motorcycle Safety Foundation focuses on advocating for rider safety and training. And then SVIA and ROVA, they do that for ATVs and ROVs, or side-by-sides, they're often called. The safety and training, the advocacy piece, and then more importantly on those ones, the standards that all of the OEs use in the vehicles to keep them safe for the end consumer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just want to say that you're
Yeah.
a boss. I mean, the president of all of that, that is just so impressive.
What's a day in the life of Christy Sutherlin at work? Like, what is, I mean, I know it's different every day, but what's a typical?
Yeah, well, the last 2 weeks were a little bit more chaotic than most because we actually had our board meetings. So for MSF, SVI, and ROVA, the boards are made up of the different OEs that support those associations. And then MIC has the top 10 OEs in market share. And then it has 5 elected people from the industry that could be in the aftermarket companies.
What's an OE?
Original equipment manufacturer, like Kawasaki, Honda, Yamaha, KTM. So any of those, they, if
you're
they're
probably used
it.
to hearing it say OEM.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, in case somebody's listening,
of course.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
acronym.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
We use so many acronyms, as you
I
can
know.
tell. So always tell me if we need to.
So did you just have a meeting in Vegas, like with the manufacturers and everything?
We did. So that one was for MIC, and we did our board meeting there, and then we did a strategic meeting so that we could plan for the next 5 years of activities on the Friday before Supercross. And then we brought the board and our executive staff team out to Supercross. And for many of the executive staff, it was their first time at Supercross, so we really did it the right way. And we got them tours of the factory semis, and we brought them on the track walk, and Feld was super kind and let us like stay out a little longer and go behind the start when the wild card race was going off. And so they got to like be there, you know, when
to hear it,
feel the
smell
stir hit 'em.
smell it, smell the fuel,
Exactly.
all the
So that was really fun. And then we got, you know, seats in the general grandstands, but we got them like right at Vegas, being the speedway, you know,
You actually had
right
seats.
in the middle. Yeah.
Because you know the credential holders didn't have seats.
No, I know, which is why I don't do that.
Yeah.
I always buy a ticket.
I think it's crazy.
Rider seating is not normally in the best part of the stadium. So we got seats and we were right in there. Like, I mean, I think a lot of people that were sitting that close, like you felt the flames when they went off during opening ceremonies.
The
and stuff.
heat.
It was pretty close, that race. But I mean, that was incredible racing last weekend. So it was really fun to
What
be
did you
at
think
that
about
one
that? What's your
with the
take
board.
on it?
So I love Joe and I love Hayden. So that was
Well,
a hard.
and you worked with Hayden when he was on
Yes.
Orange Brigade, correct?
Yeah. So I've known Hayden since he was 6 and know the Deegan family well. And Joe, you know, he was on KTM's a little bit as an amateur, but his support ride went through Honda pretty quick. But I mean, the family's just been great and he's incredible. So
I heard
think the world of him.
Yeah, that is a great family.
But the racing incident,
As far as safety,
it went too far.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, rubbing's racing, you know,
Yes.
but as far as the safety issue behind it,
I think, you know, listening to some of the reels and stuff that were out there this week, like Adam Cincerillo, he said it best because he said, we all feel it's honorable that you want to go out there and do whatever it
so
takes
bad.
to win.
Yeah.
But then there's a point where it becomes, you know, too dangerous, you know, and you should have been black flagged. And I thought that was like the best
answer
I've seen so far of like it, you know, it's one thing to kind of like play around and do it safely, but then it became dangerous. And unfortunately he got injured from it.
Yeah.
My take on it is, if it were me, but I'm not a racer, so I really, my opinion means nothing. But I just think if I were gonna win something, I would want to win like fair and square. Like, obviously, like when Zach won and there was a last turn incident, like you got to do what you got to do. But
That
like,
was a great race though.
oh, I'll never.
That's talked about all the time.
The best race. But I mean, I get the last corner, but it wasn't a last corner situation. And I want to be the smartest guy, the fastest guy on the track, and I want to prove that to people. So that would be my take on it. But I'm not a racer. But yeah, and safety is a big concern, and
that's what
bummer.
It just comes down to
safety.
Exactly. But I mean, Joe rode a smart race. He knew
he really
it was
did
coming, and so he kept himself protected, and the outcome.
And let's be
favored
honest,
him.
like Deegan has brought so many fans to this sport.
Deegan is great for the sport.
I mean,
keep doing you, Hayden.
As much as as much as it was a safety issue, I mean, it made for really entertaining.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Yeah. We're talking about it now.
I was like glued to the TV. So yes, thankfully, I know. Unfortunately, Hayden got hurt, and thankfully it wasn't anything major.
Yeah.
But it really was. It was crazy. It was like, and now because of that, it's just going to bring in more people. So
yeah, and I mean, he's young. They're all young.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's so young.
It's hard to.
He's
be
making
in your own
mistakes
head at that age and make the right decision.
Well, he's making mistakes in front of everybody.
But with maturity, I think those mistakes.
Yeah,
still,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard. I'm glad I didn't have a camera or people knew who I was when I was 19, 20,
Oh, I know, yeah.
21. So anyways, I just was curious. I know a lot of people have been talking about it, and because you have so much to do with safety, that whole factor.
So does the Safety Foundation, are they intertwined with MX Sports and Feld as well? Or is just the Motorcycle Industry Council intertwined with Feld and MX Sports? Because I feel like there's a lack within Feld and MX Sports for safety, specifically for the riders. Like sometimes I feel like the riders don't have any voice, and I feel like maybe that could be like a blend one day, or is that just not?
It's where the AMA comes in.
Okay.
So that would be a situation that the AMA would take on and try to get that feedback and then figure out how to tie it back to competition safety.
Okay.
Because we do safety for general rider education and people that are learning to ride or want to improve their skills.
That makes sense.
That type of safety is where we focus. And that's been a huge point of differentiation that people have been talking to me about this year, because there's been a lot of insurance issues with motocross tracks trying to get insurance and the costs going up. And so I've had so many people call and say, what can you do? And the AMA is really strongly working on this issue, trying to find new alternatives for people to go and get better rates. And they've had to adjust some of what you have to do in order to get that better rate. Like, you're supposed to not have pit riding, because most of the incidents happen from pit riding, not actual racing and things like that. They're going to have to be adjustments for people, but there's ways to help, build this back and get insurance programs to work for everybody again. But that's kind of a unique separation, is on the competition racing side. That's really where AMA is involved, and we're involved in the broader industry side.
So with you being involved in all aspects of motorsports, I should say motocross, supercross, how do you feel about women in the industry and their roles behind these manufacturers, or they're involved in marketing and all these, and I kind of think
such a male-dominated side or sport. How
do you navigate that as a woman in that type of industry?
Well, I love that women are in the sport. I love that men are in the sport. To me, I love the sport. So I got into this job because of how much I love it. And I didn't actually this is the most common question I get, what about women in the industry, and aren't you kind of alone in this? And I see more and more women coming in, which is great, but it's also never been a disadvantage for me. In fact, I feel like it's more of an advantage in some cases, because oftentimes in my career, I've been the only woman in the room. And so you can't help but stand out if you're the only woman in the room. So as long as you did your work and you have something valuable to add to the conversation you're in, you'll be accepted.
And you probably feel more confident when you're presenting that information because you studied it, you know it.
Yeah.
Do you agree, like maybe less intimidated by standing up in a room full of men? Is that something that's true for you?
Yeah, I would say, I've loved it my whole life, so it's always come so naturally for me to talk about the sport that it never occurred to me if I was doing it in front of men or women.
Right.
When I was just like, oh, I love it. Do I get to say something? Like I'll talk.
I can yap for days.
Yeah. And as long as I, was like a knowledge expert in whatever the topic was, then it's always, just been something that I wanted to dive into and learn more and grow. And so what I would say to women wanting to be in the sport is just like wherever you want to be, like learn everything you can about it and ask questions from the experts that are already there. And then support those experts too. So a lot of people come in and they'll ask you all the questions and get the answers, and then they're like later, and then they take the information and run, but they're not supporting those that gave them the knowledge, So I think there's there's a lot to be said for supporting those that helped you. Like I am not an engineer, I'm not a product person, but every time we had a new innovation when I was working for KTM, I would go to those folks and be like, why is this going to be so cool? Give me like 3 reasons why this is going to be game changing. And they would. And then I'd remember that. And then I'd be like, when I was talking to the engineers, this is what I heard, and so you give them credit back.
Giving
for
credit
what
where
they
credit's
got.
due.
But then I'm that much more intelligent when I'm speaking about the piece
Right.
because I went to them and I got the right information and I understood it, and it just helps everybody connect the dots. So I think being a woman in this industry, although we're probably, we still are the smaller group, if you know your stuff, you won't see it as a disadvantage, hopefully just an advantage.
I love that.
I also feel like you have surrounded yourself with an amazing group of females that work in the industry too. Like, can you talk about your relationships with the other women that are in the sport?
Yes.
That are working
yeah.
in the sport, yeah.
All of my best friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, are in this industry, and most of them were actually former professional athletes. So I get asked also, do I race? And I only race like one time ever in my life, but I get mistaken for a racer quite a bit because I've always been around
Right.
all of my good friends that race. But there's so many great professional women in this sport, and to be in this sport and to love racing and have a career in it, you are normally a certain personality type of female. And so it kind of connects us all together because we're all a little bit more aggressive
Yes.
in nature, a little bit more outspoken in nature, a little bit more risk-taking. And so that just kind of flows in. And so all of my, friends are just like that, like really adventurous.
I feel that too, as working sometimes in the industry with the mobile medic unit too, and I'm in there and it's mainly all the men too, and they call me Sarge because I whip that place into shape.
Heck yeah, you do.
So I guess you could say they respect me, but yeah, it never bothered me, and maybe because I was around it so much with Nathan.
Yes.
And it was just kind of like a part of us, part of our life, and to be able to do something you love, like me with nursing, but integrate it into the motorsports world is amazing.
Yeah, and protect all those people you care about.
Yeah, and I could say the same. I don't ever feel a type of way because of me
you're
being a female. Yeah, and there's more and more women in this sport and behind the scenes, so it's super exciting.
I think the women behind the sport is growing too, not just on the racing side, but also like within the OEMs. Like they're getting like almost like a following now, like the marketing girls and the girls. That
a lot of the PR.
Yes, it's so
girls.
fun to watch them like, spread their wings and be noticed for what they do as
And
well.
that people look at them and know who they represent
Yeah.
too.
We have a great program that we're just launching at the MIC where we're going to high schools and we're doing school assemblies that's talking about following your passion into your career. So in order to speak at school assemblies, you have to have kind of a basic general topic that is going to resonate with the kids. So it's whatever you're passionate about. It could be baseball, it could be health or nursing, but you could tie it into, whatever you love. So we're using power sports as the example. So here's a cool industry that you probably didn't think you could work in, but let us show you all of the different types of jobs that there are. And so we've got male and females, talking on camera, talking about all of the different jobs that they have. I mean, it could be heavy equipment operating and you're building a track, for the supercross level. So we talk to those folks. We talk to security guards. We talk to doctors. We talk to nurses. We talk to the marketing people. There's so much, it's endless in this industry.
It is.
I don't think many high schoolers know I could work in power sports or give it a shot. And so we're, kind of opening the doors to hopefully more like youthful minds wanting to come in or think about this as an option. And along with the school assemblies goes an internship program where we're talking to all of the companies in the industry. And when we're in their area where they're headquartered, they can offer their internships to these high school kids to apply. They can offer facility tours. Kids, we partner with the local dealers so that there's bikes and ATVs and side-by-sides down there they can come sit on and, you know, take pictures with and just like really feel what it's like to be connected to our industry. So we're really excited for this program because we think it's going to really make a difference.
That is so exciting. I love that.
I feel like it's almost like a branch off of what you guys tried to do back when you were doing like the high school motorsports teams.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just to have a team for the school. It was like, if you're interested in math, you can know the engineering behind how they build the tracks. If you're interested in journalism, well, hey, let's bring you up to the press box and watch how they do their show.
The broadcast,
And that's kind of the mindset that was put forth when you guys were developing that program and wanted to get it up and running. It was to show these kids there's more than just sitting on a dirt bike in the industry.
Throttle,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how it all ties back. And I mean, even someone as connected as I was to the sport growing up, I didn't actually think it could be my career. You know, even when I was working at KTM going to college, I still thought, I'm going to get a real job eventually.
This is too fun. I love it too much.
Yeah, this is
real
really
job,
cool
yeah.
while I'm in college. But then I realized, you know, you can make it into a career. So many people aren't connecting those dots. And so we're losing them, you know, coming into our industry. And we want to bring them back and make sure people know this is a place to have a career and a great career.
Well, and even on the engineering side, like, I mean, KTM hires engineers, and there's so much that you can do in any side of power sports.
Yes.
I love that you're bringing the
Me too.
awareness. So tell us a little bit about your family life, who you're married to, and he's a great guy.
Gary's the best.
Yeah, Gary Sutherlin, that's my husband. He's a former off-road professional racer. He off-road desert racing was really where his specialty is. He does race some moto though, so some people see his name at like the Mammoth Motocross Bet results now because we've been doing some of that fun stuff now that he's retired from professional racing.
The two-stroke national he raced.
He did the two-stroke national this year. Yep. So we're trying to find the fun races to do now. He even like pulled me aside the other week and was like, "You want to go try to qualify for some nationals next year? Like if I started riding now, maybe I could just qualify."
It's just in his blood.
Yeah. And I was like, well, you got to really start riding now, you know. It's stepped up a lot. So we'll see if he decides to do that, but it would just be fun to try to qualify. Before he had his career-ending injury right during COVID, we were getting ready to do that. That was going to kind of be the last year.
Oh, so then you need to do it.
Yeah, and so
you got to check that off.
Yeah, he wanted to try that again. So we'll see if that happens. But we have 3 children. Emery is our oldest. She just started high school.
Oh,
and
that's
Cheyenne,
quite a transition. I remember that time.
Cheyenne is our other daughter. She's in 2nd grade, and then Randy is our son. He's the youngest. He's 3, and he's in normal preschool right now. But
does he have a PW yet?
He has the electric KTM.
Oh, the E5
that grandparents bought him that he can't touch on, so it's never been ridden. It's just
even on the lowest setting.
Yes.
Oh.
So far, he's still too little, but
so
it's there, and they were ready
sick.
for him to go.
Yeah.
But he does ride the Stay Sick, and he, started on a Strider like most
Does he
kids
love
these
it?
days. Yeah, he really enjoys it. M was the only one that was like a little bit too old for Stay Sick. Like she got on it right at the end, but it wasn't around when she was really little. So she actually had an Osset, which is like a trials bike for kids, and that's how she started. And of all of our kids, she's the one that raced the most. She did some motocross, some off-road racing. Now that she's in high school, there's like other priorities at the moment.
Of course.
But
Sephora.
But she did race, and then all of the kids have actually raced to some capacity. Strider and Stay Sick being like the bare minimum. But
you're a dirt family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the way it's going to be.
They're all into it. I don't know that anybody will really want to make a career of it or anything. We're not pushing, but as a fun family hobby, we
well, if they do,
enjoy
they
it.
got all the connections. So
Right.
Yeah.
How did you and Gary meet?
Racing,
Of course.
So yeah, so I, when I was at KTM, I think I probably met him when I was 21, maybe. Initially, he was racing, and just through doing press releases and things at the time, that's how I initially was connected with him. But we were friends for many years prior to actually dating, but knew of each other for forever.
And when did you guys get married? Because you had the best wedding. One of the best weddings I've ever been to.
We got married in 2019, and we actually just celebrated our 6-year anniversary.
Oh my gosh, already?
But it was the last wedding before COVID. So the best part was like the next year when nobody was going anywhere, but they were like trying to wish happy birthday to their friends or their spouse. Everybody was posting photos from our wedding. And I was
No way.
They're recirculating a lot because it was the last event everybody was dressed up for.
Oh,
so that
yeah.
was kind of fun to see.
I am not surprised that it was fun because Christy used to throw the KTM parties, and they were the best.
I bring them back. I'm going to
I know.
boycott.
It's definitely gone downhill, but
The Pachanga one.
the Pachanga, that was
By far.
one of the best nights of my life. Like Flash Pants. I mean,
That's the name of the band, right?
I-
The Flash Pants?
yeah.
Yes.
I stage dived that night. It was
See, so the parties, the audience makes the parties really good too, and so you guys are two good
you were on the
members
stage
to have
that
there.
night too.
Yeah. Yeah, Monica has a few party tricks.
Yes,
to
we
throw out.
did the party trick that night
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Does somebody have a shake weight?
Yes.
Yes.
I think I had the shake.
I don't think you had the shake
No,
weight,
but I
you
think
did
one
your party
time
trick.
up on the stage. Okay.
There was one wife that
Okay.
she topped it.
Yep.
Oh, she took the shake
She
weight.
did. She topped the shake
Okay.
weight.
We'll talk
championship.
offline. No, I'm just kidding.
It wasn't as much, corporate HR back then.
Oh my
so
God,
it was a little
so-
easier.
That party was fun because it wasn't just KTM. It was in the heyday, I like to say, but like my brother was there because he rode for like a KTM team at the time.
Yeah.
I remember Little D was there with his wife.
Yeah.
Like,
And we
it
all
was
had
just like a yes, the
we all put the
mustaches.
mustaches
It was just
on.
like a collective of people in the industry, and it was so much fun. Best night of my life.
Those are good times.
Well, you put the same effort into your
Yeah,
wedding because
I
that was
did.
so fun.
Yeah, and so when we were getting married, Gary didn't care about anything except for that it must be a great party. He didn't care about what anything looked
I
like.
love
Just
it.
like, I want to be able to party. I want people to stay late. I don't want them
Same.
to leave
Yep.
early. So what can we do to like keep them engaged and party? And then he really wanted In-N-Out. And so we got In-N-Out.
That was one of my favorite parts too.
Yeah, and we had a taco truck in case people didn't want In-N-Out, but then we just really focused on the party.
I think you guys did a great job. And the after party, I mean, I look for that for my kids for their future weddings. It's like you don't want it to end, and when people are just start having fun and out, at the wineries, it's like 10 o'clock, curfew kind of thing for parties, but they had that, what was it, like a barn style?
They had like a secondary option
With
in their
the
barn. They
flames?
had
So did you guys
flames.
move into the barn?
We did.
They were
You
like-
were married at Terra de Fitz, right?
Yes.
Was that you? Yeah.
They were like, anybody,
Great memory,
if
'cause I couldn't remember the
I
name.
couldn't remember the
Well,
name
I
either.
feel like during 2019 and 2020, like everybody got married there. I think I went to 3 weddings there in 2020.
So we were their second wedding, and because of that, I don't think they had ever been told many restrictions. So I don't know now if you can go into the barn after hours as an example, because I'm not sure if they've now been told, to limit the time frame or what most
We actually
venues
had
have.
Jennifer Robin on, and she told this whole story about how she was supposed to have her wedding there that day, and it got canceled literally the day before her wedding because of something that had happened
Oh my
via the
gosh.
city. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more locked down now.
So we were lucky. The only rule we had was don't jump off of the deck into the water, but somebody in this room's husband did.
Yeah. He was checking the bottom before a rider jumped off. He wanted to make sure it was
Yeah.
safe.
Oh my gosh.
And they have and they're, well, we don't know how deep it is, so don't jump in. And also we dye it, so don't jump in because there's dye and then there's
No. And he had a
Did he
dry.
come out blue, just like from the dye?
Well, and also Max Miller's dad.
Yes.
Of course, Mike, you wouldn't
Yeah.
expect. That's another amazing
Yeah.
family.
They were a great
But
team
they were
that
wet,
night.
and I made him strip down. Max was driving us because he was our designated driver, and Nathan was in his underwear in the back of the vehicle, and I'm just like, please don't let us get pulled over for speeding or anything, because he's with his underwear wet. I'm dressed up nice, and I'm like, yeah, we picked him up off the side of the road.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was such a great wedding. You did a great job.
We'll have to do like another 10-year one.
Can we do
or
like a
something
10-year
to do-
reunion one? That'd be fun.
We'll have to. I love parties. I love planning.
I'm surprised you said you had In-N-Out. I'm surprised you didn't have Taco Bell. Because
know.
I heard you
I
love
love
Taco Bell.
That's because Gary wouldn't have let me do that. He would have said it was too cheap. for the
my
audience. But I'm a cheap date. I do really love Taco Bell.
What's your
Taco Bell.
favorite? What do we get?
I'm so plain. I mean, I'll do a bean and cheese burrito
Yeah.
with no onions. That's it. Like I'm
What
so
sauce?
simple.
I like the old school green sauce from Taco Bell. Are you
Red sauce.
Are you red
Yeah.
sauce? Okay.
But I'm simple, and I don't know why I like it, but I've just eaten. I mean, in college, it was because I had no money,
Yeah.
and it was next to the college, and I had
Convenience.
$5 a day to live off of.
Yeah.
And so I just started, Taco Bell power bars.
79-cent burrito.
And that $5 won't get you hardly one meal nowadays.
And like Pepsi freezes. I mean, it was not a healthy diet, but that's what I ate. And so I just always love, everybody makes fun of me because I still go, today my husband will be like, how many times did you eat Taco Bell this week?
I like Del Taco. I discovered Del Taco in college for the same reasons. Like, it was cheap, and
Yep.
I still have been there twice this week, for the record.
I feel like I grew up on Del Taco, and Nathan was Taco Bell, and we'd always battle because there's no Del Tacos on the East Coast.
Well, there wasn't in Colorado either.
It's
when
a
I
California
moved out
thing.
here, I was like, Del Taco? I've never heard of it.
But it was
And
called
then-
Noggles first.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that.
And
either.
there is one in Huntington Beach that they put, I believe it's still there.
They
Because we
preserve.
couldn't wait to go get something
Have you
from
been to
Noggles.
the Del Taco in Barstow, though? Because it's
Yes.
so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Yes.
original?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
My-
now their nacho cheese sauce is white at Del
Oh,
Taco.
I don't get there.
And
I don't
it's
get
like,
that,
I'm
so.
not very happy about that.
But it's probably because it's less dye,
I don't care.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so do you have a favorite memory from each position that you've worked in this sport, or one that stands out?
Oh, gosh.
Something very memorable.
Well, there's been so many positions, so that would take all day,
All day.
probably if I did it. But for sure, the most memorable moment was when I was at KTM and Ryan Dungey got the first 450 Supercross win. So for those of us that had been there at that point for many years, it seemed like such a far, dream to think about winning a 450 race, because the year I started was the year that Grant Langston's bike broke in half, during Supercross. And so you'd go to the races and everybody would be like, you suck. No one wanted to ride no one wanted to ride the bikes. And so to come, so far from the bike breaking, nobody wanting to ride it, to getting, Roger DeCoster and Ian and that whole team from Suzuki to transfer over and take the program, so even though at that point for them it had only been a couple years, they had revamped the entire department and the innovation of the motorcycle so significantly that we were all so tied to this project. And so when he got that first win, I just remember all of the massive hugs, being down on the floor with the team, and we're all just tears in our eyes, hugging, going, oh my gosh, it happened. And and then he was,
It was at
of course
Phoenix,
it was Ryan.
right?
Yeah.
Was it Phoenix? Do you remember what year that was?
Sure, I don't.
Okay. I wonder how long you had been at KTM at that
Yeah.
point.
I don't remember, but it was definitely a long time coming, and I certainly was one of the first to go up and hug him. I just couldn't stop myself and just be like, oh my gosh. So there's a
That's
picture
so
somewhere
awesome.
that's
And what
That's
a great
alive of that.
person that did that too.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it meant a lot to him too, because he had, changed his
He
whole
came
career
from
path to
Suzuki,
take
yeah.
a chance and follow that team. And so
Yeah.
for him too, it was just as exciting of a moment to be able to do that. And then he stayed with the brand for many years, even till now,
Yeah,
still as an
as an
ambassador.
Those
ambassador.
were the heydays, the Dungey heydays.
Yeah.
It was the best.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think that's a pretty incredible moment
Yes.
for you.
It was.
And he does a lot of great things for this sport too.
He does.
Speaking of Ryan, I still stay connected to him today. We've been talking on a few youth activation projects on the side. He does all of his, Strider work and giving bikes back to the
They
youth
came
that
to my
way.
kids' school, actually. My kids' school is a Title I school, and so one of the teachers randomly applied, had no idea we had connections or anything, and so it was so fun to watch his foundation come to the school
Yeah.
and give the kindergartners the Striders, and then I drive by all the time, and the teachers are out there with their helmets on, and all the kids have helmets on, and they're all right. It's just the coolest program.
That is so
it
awesome.
makes me tear up when I see it, because the more people we can get on two wheels, the better.
Right.
know?
And the St. Jude work that he did.
Yes.
I mean, his whole career, he's been giving back, and he's still doing it even today. So it's great to see that not only happen during the professional career, but to continue after and keep
Oh,
us
yeah.
making strides for our industry.
Agreed.
He's a fan favorite
Yes.
for sure. Did you have a favorite rider when you were growing up? Since you're so involved in the sport, and it was your dad was so involved, you've been involved since a little kid. Did you have
I did. Mike LaRocco. He was my favorite. But it was because he had the same birthday as my mom. So I remember her really liking Mike. And then at the time he was, winning a lot of races. So we were cheering for him in the house. But when he did his, I'm going to mess up. I think it was like 200th race, but he won in Indianapolis, or right after. There was like something significant milestone. And then he won the race. I was at that particular venue. And I just remember going crazy and like calling my mom after, Mike LaRocco actually has won another race, So that was kind of fun time to be a fan. And so that's who I remember growing up. And then Travis Pastrana for sure, because he's the same age as me. And when he was doing all the stuff when we were teenagers, jumping off the Bay Bridge or whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
He did some pretty cool things.
Yeah, one of my best friends, Sarah Whitmore, now Smodgy, was connected to Travis back then, and so I actually got to know him a little bit through her. So it was just a funny way of our lives colliding. I was in Racer X for the first time with a Travis Pastrana poster. This is how big of a fan I was.
Do you have that framed?
I do not have it framed. I'm sure I have the magazine somewhere in storage, but that was my first time in Racer X. And then my second time in Racer X was my very first year working for KTM, and it's a picture of me and Davey Coombs. And it looks like we're just talking, but what he was really telling me was, you're not allowed to cheer on the infield at Loretta's, and because I was cheering for all of our riders. Yeah. I was so excited to be there, and he came up and he's like, first time? And I was like, yeah. And I'm just like, this is so cool. I'm talking to Davey Coombs, and then he goes, yeah, not allowed to cheer on the infield. And I went, and he goes, noted. You can do that outside, but not here. Okay, got it.
Speaking of Racer X, we're going through a bunch of photos for the Moto 90s. I don't know if it's 90s Moto 90s documentary that's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
I interviewed for it. They came over. Anyways, we're going through old photos to submit for it, and there's a picture of me with a Racer X tank top on at the river. I'm like with Rachel.
Oh, you got to send that to Davey. He'd love it.
I know. I thought about it.
Yeah.
Damn,
do you remember getting Racer X in the mail? You probably don't, but
I
remember getting it
in the
not that you, but when I was a kid, I just remember being and then you could look and see
paparazzi photos. I lived for those.
Me too. I don't care about anything else in the magazine but the people, which is why I wanted to, do this so everyone could get to know all the amazing women. But that was my favorite part of the magazine. Yes. I love Racer X.
I remember, and they have a crossword puzzle now, so I still get it to my house.
Oh, you do?
I'm still a subscriber. I'm a subscriber of every magazine that is out there. You
gotta keep
supporting the industry, but they have a crossword, and I do the crossword all the time because I'm like a nerd and love puzzles and stuff.
And it's obviously all race related, right?
Yeah. So I can actually get all the answers, right? Yeah.
But it goes to show you, the first thing that we go to look at was the first 5 or 7 pages, because we're invested in lifestyle.
Right.
We know what you're doing on the track, we see it, but what's going on behind the scenes, which, is obviously one of the reasons we started the podcast too, is people want to know real life. What are you doing off the track? Who's friends? Who's, so that was the fun. Cool. And cycle news, all the old stuff.
Well, in Trans World, I feel like some Trans World came in and they had even more lifestyle stuff here and there, and it was just fun. Right. It was a good time.
So if you could change one thing about this sport, good or bad, what would it be?
Probably not a shocking answer, but for more riders to ride safer. So get training, get coached, wear the proper gear, put a helmet on and strap it. The amount of injury data that I get now and see, so much of it could be avoided if people were just even wearing protective gear, or had taken some sort of class or education on just how to ride before, especially on the on-road side, going out onto the main street.
With
so
their
many
surrounds,
people,
and they're not wearing their helmets.
Yeah,
or they're wearing them back here.
Yeah, if they've got one on. And so in today's world, that's what I hope, is that if there's one thing that could change significantly, it's that people just take safety a little bit more, at a higher level, I guess, and strap on the gear, put on the helmet, take a class. That would be my number one advice to any new rider.
And us in the medical field, that's a pretty big deal to us too, because concussions
Yeah.
are
mean, it's all the
inevitable. They're
time.
going to happen eventually
Well,
one day.
I will say in Marietta, where our police department is city ran, so they're pretty on top of it, but they give kids tickets
Yeah.
for not wearing helmets. And you are supposed to, if you're riding an e-bike to school, you're supposed to take a class prior, and they won't let you like park your e-bike unless you have the sticker that you've like taken the class. So
Yeah.
I feel like there is more safety coming, but I feel like it definitely needs to be more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely trying, you know, all
Yeah.
the law enforcement. Like officers have been reaching out to, especially in the state of California, about certain programs. So they have the free California one. That's what a lot of the schools are using right now to tell the kids to take it, but it's only a few minutes long. We have another course called ebikecourse.com. You can go there, and it's an hour and a half long, but it's targeted at teenage riders so that they can learn the rules of the road, because most of them are, I say even preteens, you know, 12 to like 14, riding these bikes to school right now, and parents haven't had a chance to go out and be like, this is what you do at a four-way stop. You know,
Or a
It's
stop
true.
sign, period.
Yeah.
They think they're on a bike, so they don't need to stop, and then the car has already stopped, and they're going to turn right, and
Right.
they're not stopping. I literally witness it almost every day at school pickup.
Yep.
It stresses me out. So
in those right turns, that's the
Yes.
most dangerous area for kids. So it's explaining that even, like, this is what you got to look out for. Here's the real danger zones, and they don't know. And some parents might not even know that that's the, you know, the position you can be compromised in the most. But you take a course like that, and it will really help you. So any course
Yeah.
that's out there, recommend taking, especially for anybody who has young teenagers or preteens riding to school.
Or I'll
Love that.
see like them on a bicycle coming the opposite way, which is the way you're supposed to run on a street,
Right.
not ride your bike. At least once a day, I see going through the neighborhoods a kid coming at me on the opposite side, you know, going with against traffic, right?
Yeah.
Opposite? No.
But we have the greatest chance of a feeder system for our sport that we've ever had.
I
Because
know.
parents are getting their kids on motorized vehicle, you know, electric product, but it's two wheels, and they're liking it, they're enjoying it. And so we just need to make sure that we're keeping them safe,
Safe.
so they'll stay in the sport for hopefully a lifetime.
yep,
I think that's great.
I do too.
This is something I wanted to ask. How do you want to be remembered in this sport? Like your legacy down the road? Is there anything that you would, how do you envision your legacy?
Gosh, I just hope that whatever I'm doing in this sport can actually help make a difference. You know, whether it's keeping one more person safer, or making a track operator call an ambulance for their practice days, you know, like whatever it is to make sure that we can do our part to get, you know, more protection for our riders. That's really where I want to be. And when I get asked for like advice for people, there was something that I heard recently where it was like, don't do something for the, you know, for the points in the game, but do it for the love of the game. And that's really what it is for me at this point. I've spent my whole career here. I never expected that I was going to have a job in the nonprofit industry. You know, I've worked for for-profit companies my whole life, but when they called me and said, this is something I think you should do, you have this unique skill set that can really help the industry right now, it's like I felt compelled to go, you know, and go, okay, if I can do that, then I want to help, and I want to tell every single person I can how they can help and take part in it, keeping the riders safer, keeping our sport going and existing, and promoting it. Because like, think of how much we love it, just us three here.
I know.
And any of your listeners, it's like, it's why we exist, you know, is this industry. Our friendships, our family are because of it. And, you know, without it, we would have nothing. And
It's our livelihood.
Yeah. And I want to keep that going for future generations.
I think
Love
that's
it.
great.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes,
we appreciate
thanks.
your time. You're
Yes.
so busy, but so we appreciate it.
And check out all the websites that she's talked about.
The alphabet.
We can also link them in our,
Yeah.
we'll link them in our pod.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
Christy.
day.